I want to shine so bright and yet be so far. These were the words of the 14-year-old me lying down at my friend's place after a really long day, not caring about what I'm saying. I think I was 9 when I noticed the beauty of it. My family and my dad's friend's family were spending our session break in Leh Ladakh. I think it was the second or the third night when we were walking back from dinner and my dad told me to look up. So I did. And what I saw has been the most beautiful sight I have ever seen. I could see our galaxy, the Milky Way. By a show of hands, can you tell me how many of you have seen a starry night sky? And no, I'm not talking about the painting. A sky so full of stars, you don't need the moonlight. I know stars are huge masses of gas, but do they even slightly resemble that? No, they don't. And I know that's because of the millions of light years of distance, but let's forget that for the next few minutes. From the age of 9 to 14, I didn't care much about stars. I often found myself looking at them and found them beautiful, but that night, at that sleepover, I realized that we humans, we're all like stars. When a person looks up in the sky, what they see are tiny lights illuminating it. When a person looks at a crowd, what he's able to see are tiny bobbing heads. Over the next few minutes, I'll try to make you see some similarities between people and stars that I see. How are stars born? Stars are born in molecular clouds where the density and size of particles is so high, they keep collapsing into each other, giving birth to hydrogen atoms. Those atoms, in turn, combine and give birth to these gigantic masses. Isn't that how we humans are born? Why does a star shine? A star shines when atoms of helium and hydrogen combine together, fuse together, to fulfill what is needed. This keeps on going inside their core, and nobody has any idea. Does that not resemble us? All our feelings, our emotions, getting bottled and mixed. They create this mess inside us. The pain, the hurt, the happiness, the joy, all of it inside us making us shine. Stars, a friend once told me, are the perfect depiction of lost love and inner pain. How does a star die? Inner pain. Stars start dying on the inside. You see stars which are medium or small in size start shedding their outer layer, similar to a snake. They keep shedding that layer, turn red, and finally a white dwarf star is born. But the stars which are massive explode into a supernova, gifting the universe with brand new stars and sometimes a black hole. In both these methods, something dies, and out of that, something new, something beautiful is born. We don't know what a black hole is. We have no idea what's inside it. All we know is that they're born when any celestial object is not able to withstand its own gravity and it compresses into itself. The only celestial object capable of having that amount of gravity is a star. But that drastic change, they keep shining so bright, and then we stop noticing them, and the next thing we know, they're gone. They've turned into masses of darkness. We humans, we're all becoming like black holes. We keep our emotions, our feelings bottled within us. These black holes, they're causing us to try to fit in. We keep changing ourselves to fulfill what is needed or sometimes just wanted by the people around us. But what we don't realize is that in that process, we're losing ourselves. We're losing what makes us, us. While researching for this talk, I came across this poem. Depression is such a cruel punishment. There are no X-ray scans, no blood tests, no fevers, no rashes scurrying people into concern, no form of any pain. It's just a process of destruction from the inside, as insidious as any cancer. And like cancer, it is a solitary experience, a room in hell with just your name written on it. Why is it that we're so afraid to talk about problems like depression or self-harm or just sadness? It's not like they don't exist. We feel that if we give that person time, if we let things be, it will be okay. But the solution is never letting things be. The tragedy is that something always changes. Why then are we so afraid to reach out? Because we feel that there are these certain traits, certain characteristics that if a person possesses, they're good. And these certain traits, and if they don't possess those, they're bad. We need to open our minds. We need to stop with these predefined notions about everything, about how girls should behave or about how guys should, about how science is not better than humanities, they're both equal, about how sad does not mean depressed, about how marks are not the end of the world, about how we, the young, can have problems and can have stress and can need help. We don't realize, but these predefined notions are making us form labels in our mind. How many of you have seen someone doing something or noticed a certain characteristic about them and given them a label in your mind? Then how many of you went on to tell your friend about that label and they did the same thing? They told their friend. With time, we don't even realize, but it is that and only that label which defines the person. Do we see what an impact our opinion, our ideas have? People, years ago, I think 6 years ago, I read this quote on Facebook, and I don't think I've connected with anything more. People call me observant, but that's not true. I'm not more observant than any other person. We humans, we bleed emotion, even in the way we drink our coffee. Nobody seems to notice, though. They're all too busy drinking their own damn coffee. I have a friend who goes to coffee stores just to sit and observe people. You see, they're so easy to read. The way they talk, the way they walk, the way they blink. When a person is not okay, their whole aura changes. Their eyes, they're not able to focus on one thing. When they walk, they don't seem to have a destination. These little hints would be noticed if we only care enough to look. Carl Sagan said, the nitrogen in our DNA, the iron in our blood, the calcium in our teeth, and the carbon in our apple pies were made in the interiors of a collapsing star. We are all made of star stuff. The 9-year-old me found those stars beautiful. The 14-year-old me fell in love with them. The almost 17-year-old me stands before you, and I'm telling you, it's a tragedy that I wasted so long. It's a tragedy that I had to fall in love with stars to notice that we humans, we're all so beautiful. I wish that you take this talk as a lesson that looking at the mask isn't enough, a lesson that there's always something more that can be done. If there's a takeaway, I hope it is that you start observing people, start noticing the way they walk, the way they talk. People are easiest to read when they're hurting, but if one only cares enough to look. I wish all of you stop before taking your sip of coffee. Thank you.